talk to you about the importance of words. Do you have memories of like the first words that you learned or that you first spoke, and why you have those particular memories?
I asked from my mother, when did I start walking? When did I start talking? And she mentioned that I started talking before I started walking. So talking was I just love talking, having my opinions, having conversation with my parents. And words are important. Words have power. And when you raise your voice for a cause that you believe in, then every word that you say matters. Well, my favorite book was The Alchemist. And also, learning about this boy's story who is focused on achieving his goal and not giving up, which is important for all of us who are fighting for a cause, whether that is girls' education or environment or equality, is that we stay focused on our goal and never lose hope, even though there would be obstacles in our way. Books were important to me. Books were a way of learning. I decided that even if, the Taliban, the extremists, they ban girls' education, but I will still carry my books with me and I'll continue learning from them. And I think this whole experience of parents and children reading stories together is an amazing experience because it's a way in which parents and children connect. My father, he completed his education, so he could read, but my mother, she could not read because when she was 6 years old, she sold her books and she never completed her education. So in our house, it's usually the opposite way, we read to our mom. It's a great experience because usually it's a mother teaching a daughter, telling her stories, but in our house, it's the opposite way. It's daughter teaching her mother. She's also an inspiration to me to continue fighting for girls' education. Pashtun tradition, storytelling, poetry, these are very common, and we used to hear stories from our grandmothers and maternal and paternal, and always the story would conclude with a happy ending but also a lesson to learn, such as always be honest, be kind, be gentle, always tell the truth. So I think it was a way of learning. So I think stories are important, and that's something that we value in our Pashtun culture, and it has gone through generations and generations, and I think it's important that we preserve it and also continue it for the coming generations. I think stories, not just in Pashtun culture, but stories are globally there in almost every part of the world, whether they are told in books, whether they are told verbally, shown through TVs, in different ways. While you are living in this small world among these mountains, and you do not see a world beyond that. Books, reading, knowing about other cultures allow you to see that the world is bigger than that. And it's just, I think the more you learn, it opens your mind. It allows you to explore more, find yourself as well. Yeah, I think they're universal. Everyone can read them, everyone can learn from them. And I think it's also a way of connecting. So reading a book from someone, who has written it in Brazil, to reading a book from someone who has written in Pakistan, it's a good way of connecting and learning about different cultures and people and their stories, and then seeing how much is common between us and how we can learn from each other. You see how it's different, but you also see what is common between us, and that we are part of the same struggle, the same fight to achieve our goal of equality. In the community, when there is a challenge, it's actually the local people who can bring change. And so it's important for Brazilian young girls to believe in themselves, believe in the power of their voice. You may not feel it, you may not realize it, but words are really powerful, and people cannot ignore you for too long. They have to listen to you. So continue on fighting for your rights, for equality, for your education. And I hope that in the coming years, we see all girls in Brazil completing their education. When I was very little, I always had the dream to go to Oxford or any other university. Oxford was my dream, and I applied to Oxford last year to study PPE, which is Philosophy, Politics and Economics, and I got accepted. And this has been an amazing year, learning from the professors through the lectures, but also working together with my friends and exploring the subjects. Amazing things happen at university that get to learn from each other. So I'm very happy with that.
I have been receiving many letters from children, and most of them asking me how to change the world. How can I change the world like Malala? So I will pass you that question.
I think, if you look at the world is quite big,
Yes.
in that sense, but the world is small at the same time. We have nowadays internet, we have technology, we are connecting globally. I'm from Pakistan, I'm here in Brazil, speaking out for girls in Brazil, and then you wrote a book about me. It's that connection that builds up, and I think it's important for us to recognize that we can use these resources that we have got to bring change that we want. And we also need to work together. It's not one person's job. We all have to join hands in this and do as much as we can. It's whether it's helping one person, whether it's changing, building a school, or whether it's giving books to one of your friends, or whether it's raising awareness about a cause, or whether it's raising money for a charity. All these things matter, and they become part of this bigger cause, this bigger movement that we build. So I would encourage everyone to do as much as they can, and because it contributes to the bigger the movement that is going on.